Welcome to this edition of Hindsight is Horrifying, the show where three mostly normal and somewhat cynical adults discuss life as members of the TV generation. Now here are your hosts, Darth Jada, Jason Mitchell, and Adam B.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi.
Boys and girls from around the world. We're back with another episode of Hindsight is Horrifying. And it was my pick this week.
I do believe it was your pick. Yes.
What movie did I pick?
Street Life.
I don't know why. I wanted something old and kind of
and gritty.
Gritty, yeah. And
that's why you invited me here.
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
It's good to be anywhere.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
Freewheeling bachelor style travel. We're in the podcast having fun. I don't know. What do dudes do?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Sleep.
Yeah.
Wow.
We are doing the classic 70s Burt Reynolds Dirty Harry Goes to Atlanta movie, Sharky's Machine.
He's not even kidding.
Oh, it is. It's
no, I know.
It's almost it's like explicitly Dirty Harry
in my
Goes
Dark
to Atlanta.
Jada notes, yeah.
This is a movie based on a book that was
by William Deal.
William Deal. It was essentially written for Burt Reynolds. The author actually sent a copy to Burt Reynolds once it got published.
What kind of a dream is that? Like, if you're an author, because I mean, that's happened a couple of times in Hollywood. For instance, Zach Braff, when he was writing Garden State, wrote Natalie Portman's part for Natalie Portman. And
doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But like, you hear those kind of stories, and you're just. But think about it: if you wrote a book and the character that you base, or like the person you base the character on, is a badass like Burt Reynolds, you send him the book, and what does he do?
Yes.
He makes a movie out of it.
Yeah.
And he becomes the character.
And directs.
Yeah.
Does it all.
No, he's
looking for the raccoons on the train tracks.
yes, the movie opens up
right.
with interesting thing. This the movie opens up with the song "Street Life,"
Street Life,
which was by I think the Commodores originally.
Let's find out.
But it was reorchestrated for this movie. And do you know who reorchestrated it?
Linda Belcher.
No,
Who?
a very
Randy Crawford. Street Life song by Randy Crawford.
Yeah, I don't think it was him and the
Crusaders.
Okay. Yeah, the Crusaders. Not the Commodores. But anyway, yeah, it was reorchestrated by a particular person who ended up being famous for playing the trumpet in front of a band next to Johnny Carson.
You're kidding me.
Doc Severinsen.
Wow.
Yep,
Who
it
would've
was
figured?
it was reorchestrated by Doc Severinsen. And it's a really good version of it. But
For a second, I thought it said edited by William Goldman, and I was like, what movie wasn't he a part of? My God.
this is a movie with a great cast.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's got. I love all the actors. I love every performance in this movie.
As eclectic and random as the characters are, yeah.
Well, it's funny because watching this movie, I kept thinking, which one is Brian Dennehy? And then I
thought the same thing when I first laid eyes on him. No, I had
neither
the exact
one.
same thought.
Yeah,
None of them.
Brian Keith and
Also known as Pappy O'Daniel.
Yeah.
From Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And Peter Griffin's father on Family Guy.
For my
Francis Griffin.
No, I know. I'm blanking on his name.
Oh, the actual
Charles
actor's
Durning.
name?
Charles Durning.
Yeah.
Charles Durning. Yes.
But anyway, we'll get into that. Jade, why don't you tell them the synopsis?
Oh, I'm supposed to do the synopsis?
Yeah, get used to it.
I've never done that before. Okay, so the synopsis is Burt Reynolds is Sharky, a relentless undercover vice cop determined to smash an international crime syndicate while protecting a beautiful and dangerously involved young call girl because she's still alive. Once they're dead, they're just hookers.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard anyway.
Yeah. Why don't you explain to the ladies and gentlemen why it is that he's a vice cop?
Oh, yeah. So Sharky's involved in a bust gone wrong.
He was a part of Homicide.
He was I couldn't get over that either. The very same actor, old Charlie, kept calling homicide throughout the entire movie.
That's like you
gotta call homicide.
Do you ever see like in an old movie when they say helicopter?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard anybody call it.
I've seen that in many like movies from the 50s when helicopters were still a relatively new thing.
Oh, Christ.
And the funny thing is, I thought about it and I realized that's actually the correct way of saying it. If you think about
Explain yourself.
well, like a helial shape. You don't say a helial shape. You say a helial. What kind of orbit does it have? It has a helial orbit. It's actually the correct pronunciation is actually helicopter.
I'll go with that.
And that's the amazing thing.
I don't
you
know.
learned
It's the same old argument between like pecan and pecan. Do you call it a con of soup? No. It's not a pecan.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. You're from the South. We've had this argument before. God.
Well, there's so many words. There's so many things. And,
you know what the worst part is,
actually
Jason? You're from out of state.
Yeah, you're fucking up my city.
You're both from out of state. That's the problem.
You know, you're right. You are the one Georgia native here.
That's me.
I guess it is a Southern thing, and this is a very Southern. This is a combination, and I think this is why I like this movie so much, for all its flaws, and it is flawed. I'm not gonna but,
swimming in flaws.
Yeah.
But it's a 70s new school movie. It has that new school gritty, dark edge to it. You know,
now you may have
dim
to explain
lighting.
what new school is. Like
The new school was a movement that basically sought to not do the Technicolor 60s epics and things like that. They wanted to do things like Marathon Man. Marathon Man is new school, and that's a very...
I still need to watch that. I have the DVD that you lent me.
It's a fantastic movie. It's
find some time to
absolutely
watch
fantastic, yeah.
Oh, but we just passed an important part, especially insofar as how Sharky holds his weapons on his person.
That is weird.
Where was it? I gotta find it. Oh yeah, Sharky, and this is all according to IMDb. But Sharky carries his weapons in a rather bizarre manner. A Colt 1911 45 ACP sits behind his left hip, butt forward, all but impossible to present using the right hand.
Yeah.
He is seen drawing it with his left hand. He also carries a 6-inch Colt Python 357 Magnum upside down on his left ankle and is seen retrieving it while sitting on the ground during the shootout with the Jumpman in the very beginning, which is what we're watching.
We passed by that part, but I'd never really noticed that before, but particularly when he is in the last scenes, when he's going through the hotel, it's very obvious that his revolver is in a holster on his back,
upside down.
but the butt is pointed out that way. So if he reached back to grab it, he would be picking it up it would be upside down.
You'd have to like rearrange it. It'd be super awkward.
And I don't know. It's like, what was the thinking behind that? Did he think it just looked cool? I mean, it's Burt Reynolds. He knows guns.
Yeah, you have to wonder.
Yeah.
Well, it's a 2-hour movie, and the original cut was even longer. A Martabus, because where are we?
Atlanta.
Like you said, we're in Atlanta.
It's a very well. That's what I was saying. It's a 70s new school movie, and
set
it's
in 1981.
Well,
made in 1981.
Yeah, but it's
70s genre.
Released in 1981.
It's like disco. Disco was as much an 80s thing as a 70s thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the other angle to it also is the fact that, and we are based near Atlanta. We're in the
suburbs,
the metropolitan area,
the burbs,
and the movie is absolutely set in Atlanta.
Oh,
and
100%.
They go so far out of their way to like highlight Atlanta. Like they even say street names.
West End.
They're like, oh, he's at the corner of Mitchell and something.
Yeah. Well, of course you say Mitchell. Of course you would. But you
one
see the
thing
MARTA buses.
I learned from this is I wouldn't want to live in Atlanta in the 70s.
No.
It looked pretty
why.
rough.
Yeah,
it just looked very gritty.
Well, what most people don't realize is that, Atlanta used to be one of the murder capitals of the nation before the 1996 Olympics came in and cleaned everything up, and Jerry Seinfeld came and watched Equestrian that one year that we attended. So,
okay.
It cleaned up significantly when I was a kid, and now people go to Atlanta because it's actually safe to be there. I go there for my peaceful little Dragon Con summit every year.
I would debate it's safe to go there part.
Okay, I'll debate that it's safe during Dragon Con because you're surrounded by 100,000 nerds who are all carrying weapons, and if somebody gets attacked, we're going to jump you and rescue the nerd that's under attack.
Well, and also they know when it's Dragon Con and they have a shitload of cops there.
That too.
Yeah, so that helps.
That's helpful that some weapons are fake, some are real.
Yeah.
That is helpful.
Yeah, but it is very much, it's Atlanta Police Department, they're riding around on MARTA. It's the Westin Hotel obviously plays a very prominent role.
It shows up approximately 70 and a half times. Yeah. They keep showing you the freaking Westin Hotel.
Back then, what skyline did we have?
No, that's what I'm saying. It stands alone on the Atlanta skyline. It was the tallest building at the time.
Imagine how cool that must have been when that thing first went up.
Because I sent you guys that last night. What was the height on?
220 feet.
220 feet.
Because the big stunt in this movie.
Robinson. I think his name was Dar.
Well, and it's a shame, too, because that shot hardly gets used.
I know.
Barely, yeah. So, but it's actually about the Hyatt Regency Hotel. So at 220 feet, the stunt from Atlanta's Hyatt Regency Hotel, doubling for the Westin Peachtree Plaza, still stands as the highest freefall stunt ever performed from a building for a commercially released film.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of an amazing thing to think that all these years, Tom Cruise hasn't beaten that.
Especially with how short he is. You think that they would count the feet extra
that's
for
true.
Tom Cruise.
Oh, that's true. This would be like a 600-foot jump in Tom Cruise feet.
Exactly. See, he'd jump off the Westin just so the gay thoughts couldn't catch him. Like,
they would catch him.
My life is a stunt.
They would catch him.
So Sharky gets himself into
he gets demoted to vice.
Yeah, he gets into a shootout. A civilian gets shot.
Where we get down to vice, and guess what, gentlemen? Like in Deliverance, did you know that the writer of the book made an appearance in the movie?
Yeah, he's like the
He's
a
the
pimp.
PIMP.
Yeah,
yes.
he's yeah.
Ah, that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yes.
And so the whole sort of
deal shows up.
Yeah, the idea is it's basically you have a brilliant cop who gets through, whatever actions, recklessness or whatever. He's sent down to the hole, this slummy, filthy.
It's not
vice
recklessness on Sharky's part, because what happens? His drug deal goes wrong because this seemingly bumbling other detective, Smiley, shows up, and so Sharky's in the middle of a bust. Like, he's playing it cool. He's a good cop, but then Smiley's like, "Hey, Sharky, you doing okay?" And it's so awkward and clumsy. And so when Sharky gets demoted, his partner is like, "Yeah, Smiley, you fucking moron. Like, thanks a lot."
Charles Durning was Pappy. Not Brian Keith.
Oh, he was Papa. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so
Papa is
Charles Dunning is Frisco. Durning. Sorry.
Durning.
It's blurry. But yeah, so you get down to Vice. You have Charles Durning. He's Frisco. Then you have Bernie Casey,
character,
who is Arch.
Arch is. I want to do a whole
Arch belongs in the metaphysical universe.
He does. I mean, I'm convinced that Arch and Billy, who we'll get to, which for God's sakes, it has ninjas.
Yeah, the ninjas were so random. Like, my God.
But I mean, why not, man?
Well, because
we need some henchmen.
It's one of those books, one of those movies where I was like, the book had to have made more sense. And one of the reasons I first started thinking this is because it's a pretty, straightforward cop movie for a second. You're like, oh, okay, detective gets demoted to vice because he messed up on this bus. Okay, whatever, got that. But then when they're on a stakeout later, staking out hookers.
Tough job.
And hooker.
Huh?
Yeah.
They were specifically looking for one hooker.
Yeah, but there are two hookers in the same apartment.
Yeah, but she was collateral. Oh, wow.
Oh, wait. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
But we'll get to it. No, but when they're on the stakeout, Arch starts talking about this domestic violence call that he was called to at a house. And he didn't have a partner that day, but he goes to the house and there's this woman freaking out, bleeding from the face. Her husband must have smacked her or hit her or something. And the guy who hit her comes out of the bathroom like waving a gun. And Arch just has this big speech about, I disappeared. Like, I went to another plane of existence or something, and
he pulled his antenna in, and he
describes it in like 5 different ways to get Sharky to pick up what he's laying down. He's like, I pulled my antenna in, I ceased to exist. I disappeared. And so I walked across the room and I just looked at the guy, cool, calm. I wasn't giving him judgment. I wasn't giving him shock, nothing, man. And he didn't shoot me. And then I said, hey, ma'am. And she was surprised to see me across the room. And it's like he manifested across the room. Yeah,
she was still looking at where he was.
Yeah.
See, and I love that.
I think the book probably did a better job of describing that.
I don't think so.
No?
No, I think Bernie Casey's conversational way that he described that was just from an acting perspective.
He did a good job, but it's a hard concept to bring about. Yeah. I don't know. It's difficult to translate.
Well, and that is probably about the time, too, because
But there's no payoff to it, sadly. They take
yes, there is.
At the very end.
At the very end, there is.
He tries again.
No, but it's not successful. He doesn't disappear. He gets shot multiple times.
Well,
and the whole point of it is that, like,
but he didn't get shot in the head when the guy was screaming at him.
Oh yeah.
And I've always interpreted that as he didn't give him anything. Like the guy's pointing the gun at him and he screams twice.
That's true.
And it's like, I'm trying to make you flinch. And
Billy's giving him the rage and feeding all the emotions to Arch, but Arch doesn't give him anything back. Okay, all right, I'll go with you on that.
I am willing to say that if the first third of this movie was an entire movie, like if it ended, I'm trying to think, what was it that the last thing before their decision to start tapping the phones?
They bust a hooker at like
Oh, right. When
Olympic Park.
she says, she tells the guy, you're
Mabel.
you're Mabel.
Played by B. Arthur. No,
if the movie had actually ended there, I admit it would be a very weird ending, but I think it would be one of the best movies I'd ever seen because from the beginning to there, to me, is just brilliant. All the actors are just doing this great chemistry. Everybody's delivery is just phenomenal.
They're all very unique characters. Like Papa's always gnawing on some sort of animal, like he's eating ribs or fried chicken, and Arch doesn't eat any of that. He eats sushi and raw fish, and Papa's like, "What you eat all that Jap stuff for?" And it's not good for you. The Japanese don't grow that tall, and it's so racist.
They're Asian.
Like, But that's the whole thing.
Well, and that's another discussion later in the movie because they are throwing around some slurs.
Well, then they make a point of that.
Yeah, because what is
Asian.
it? They said, because
college guy.
Because Charles Durning, he said he calls somebody a chink, and Arch corrects him, and he's like Asian, and they look at Arch and goes Asian. He said Asian, and they're like college.
Yeah, you learned that in college
because he's not a racist. That means he went to college.
Well, clearly there's a huge difference between Atlanta Vice and Miami Vice.
Hey, Mr. Brown.
It just
take the mic and
I'm feeling the heat.
Is that better? Oh my gosh,
there you go.
There he is.
There it is.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
I was like, there's something wrong with my mic, but it's too late into the show to fix it. But look at that, just a quick turnaround.
Yeah, I didn't notice it until that very second. So that's behind a little,
that's
behind the
studio life for
scenes
you.
stuff.
Oh yeah. It's a
and
directional microphone.
Here's the phencyclidine or cocaine or synthetic heroin or whatever the hell drug we're dealing with, because there's PCP and synthetic heroin.
Yeah, I don't.
And then you think Billy's doing coke, but then I don't know. I think it's PCP really because Billy. I was a little confused at first because I thought Billy was the man because he's the one assassinating everybody.
Yeah.
But it's not. Victor is the guy who's in charge of all the
Billy's
prostitutes.
the ninja. Billy's the
lead ninja.
The lead ninja.
Lead ninja. He doesn't do the dirty work.
Yeah. And see, Billy, the reason,
this is so painfully 70s.
Was
this circular bed that rotates.
Okay.
Yeah, baby. You want a shag?
Okay, see.
Oh, no, I fell over. Turbulence, darling. Oh, no.
That's something I love about it because I love it when a movie gives you a glimpse into like houses and what people, like a little time capsule of what people were sort of seeing in the news and on TV and what their world actually looked like.
Yeah.
Particularly Domino's apartment. Because I was looking at that and like in the 70s, they would have said, this apartment's incredible.
The Sarge says that, Charles Durning.
Yeah.
Because every time they get together, he's focused on the wrong thing. Like when they're looking up tapes to find the bad guy, he's listening to what turns into a bust with a hooker, and he's listening to the dirty talk, treating it like porn. And he's like, oh, this is getting me so hot, you guys. Oh my! And he's just sitting there in Vice, like, oh, this is so sexy. Turn it up. Like, and then later when they're in Domino's apartment because someone gets shot in the face, he's like, oh my God, you see this apartment? We're on the wrong side, you guys. Like he's always focused on the wrong thing.
Yeah, we'll get to that incredibly brutal kill coming up. But so basically, what sort of kicks the actual story off. A
hooker jumps out of a 30-story window. Oh, wait, that's Lethal Weapon.
Yeah,
that's a different one.
Yeah.
Sorry, different cop movie.
Well, they do, but there is a hooker involved.
Isn't there always?
Yeah, because the Vice Squad arrests somebody named Mabel. Mabel's a regular. Everybody knows Mabel in the Vice Department.
Mabel, if you're able.
But $50 too, inflation. She was going to charge that guy $50.
And I love what
would that be today?
And the guy said,
I don't know.
That's a good point. But he's like, I wouldn't pay you $50 to do anything.
Oh, that's the worst thing you can say.
Ice cold.
To a professional lady.
I don't know. I mean, she'd probably be good at like cleaning stuff. Pay her $50 for, paint my house.
Can you do my taxes?
Yeah. Yeah, couldn't be worse. And that way you could deduct what you're paying a hooker.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
But Mabel, though, reveals that she is absolutely terrified
Of the
man who is someone who apparently has these $1,000 a night hookers.
Like a slew of them. And what I don't understand is that everyone is utterly terrified to drop his name. His name is Victor. Does he have a last name in the IMDb, Adam?
Negative, just Victor.
Okay, he's just Victor. But he's not
Because remember, she
hiding-
won't say his last name.
That's what I'm saying. So, and Domino won't name him either because Burt is like shaking her very 70s style. And he's like, what's his last name? Damn it. And he's threatening to punch her in the face. And like he's being very rough with her. And she's like, no, it doesn't matter. He owns me. He owns you. He owns everything. And I'll never tell you his name. And Mabel was like, oh, I'll never say his name. Nobody wants to say Victor's name. But he's flaunting his existence in the middle of a crowded restaurant surrounded by hookers. Who cares if you know what his name is?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
That's the thing with Victor.
That was the worst.
What?
Mabel just like hit Burt Reynolds in the face. Oh, did she hit him with a purse?
Yeah, she hit him with a
I thought
purse.
she
Yeah.
slapped him and he was just
purse.
like, okay.
Meow. All those condoms would probably soften it.
What is this filled with?
They didn't use
hooker
They didn't use
buckles?
condoms
that's
back
true.
then.
Yeah,
It's
never
the
mind.
70s. Yeah.
Wait, there were no condoms in the 70s?
There were, but we never used them.
This late breaking development brought to you.
That explains so much.
Does it?
That was condoms was an 80s thing,
Well, don't you go insane when you have certain
that's true.
STDs? So
Yeah, that's
I was
true.
saying-
And moving
I'm
on.
just being uncharitable.
Stage 4 syphilis, they call it. Proceed.
I thought that was all part of the red light behavior that you learned
Oh, yeah.
not to participate in the Navy, Mr. Brown.
Do as I say, not as I do. That's what I always say.
Got it.
If your coworker comes in dressed as a furry, that's
That is very red light behavior.
So anyway, back to
No, I want to see where the author was. He's the pimp. Where's the pimp?
We may have already passed
think
it.
we passed
We missed
We've
him.
been hanging
All right.
out in Vice for a little while now, so
All right,
I'm not sure.
Fair enough. Good deal.
So this hooker has now given Sharky this idea that there's something going on.
But who is that guy there? That is not Victor.
No,
He's one of the henchmen.
It's
Oh.
Percy. Yeah, and Percy, I guess Percy is like a lower level pimp
Got it.
or like a
He's a pimp
He's-
lieutenant.
yeah, a mid-level pimp.
He's a
you know.
captain.
He's a P3. Who was a hooker and Pretty Woman?
Richard Gere.
They all were, honey. So Mabel provides this sort of opening clue that gets them looking into
Right.
Victor.
Because, and it comes full circle because they're at first sent out on the beat to protect the candidate for governor, Hodgkins, who isn't he speechifying at Centennial Olympic Park?
Yeah.
Isn't that where they were? Okay.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it wasn't Centennial Olympic Park, but I don't know what they called it back then.
No, but that's what I'm saying
Yeah.
is I know it wasn't back
That's
then. But
the weird thing, seeing some of those old buildings and going like,
That's not what that is anymore.
yeah, like, wow, they tore that down? That was, or that one building that,
Look, it's Antonia Sloviak from Wonder Boys. It's a transvestite hooker, and it's a great
Yes.
bit because the Papa's trying to put her in the system, and he's like, I'm Raquel. You know what? Let's just call me Ralph. It'll
Yeah.
make things
What's
easier.
your last name? Just Ralph.
Just Ralph.
yeah, that was Papa's whole like
Papa don't preach.
unflappability in that. But anyway, so they find a list of phone numbers and they decide that they're going to tap these phone numbers. There's 7 phone numbers and they're going to tap them to see what's going on. The police department authorizes 6 and denies 1. So Sharky decides that he's got to go and call in a favor from his friend, the lawyer from Fletch.
Nosh.
Yeah, Nosh, who I really, it sucks that they killed him.
They kill
I know.
everyone.
They
so
kill
spoiler
everyone.
alert,
yeah.
everyone dies.
Everyone dies except
Except
Arch.
Sharky and Domino
Yeah,
and maybe
maybe
Arch.
Arch.
Maybe Arch. It's still jury was still out. with him.
Yeah.
Richard Libertini is
Yeah.
Nosh.
Yeah, Richard Libertini, also known as the lawyer from Fletch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought he was great.
Yeah.
I do love him.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
But so
their
they're-
whole relationship, their banter, just when they're both sitting there talking, and he's like, "Did you fuck her? It's okay. It's been a long time. I won't be mad."
because he was in love with this girl in high school, hindsighter. So Nosh is like, oh yeah, remember what's her name? Like Rosalita or whatever. I don't know what her name is. I'm making it up. But he's like, you fucked her, didn't you, Sharky? I know you did. You can tell me. It was a long time ago. Just tell me. And he's like,
Yeah, I won't be
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
He's like, God damn it. And he freaks
Gets all
out.
mad at him.
Because Nosh is just the typical perpetually angry guy, except when
Yeah.
his daughter shows up. His little
Oh
6-year-old
my
comes
God,
down the
his
stairs to say goodbye.
Daughter's so cute.
Oh, even Burt was so cute
Yeah.
with her because
Yeah.
he's like Uncle Sharky.
Yeah.
And he kisses her. She talks to him, like says goodnight while she, puts her
Yeah.
lips on his face. And he's like, oh, you were talking during that. That doesn't count. It was
Yeah.
so freaking cute. It's like the one cute moment in the entire movie.
Yeah.
That's surrounded with, or filled with hookers and blow and PCP.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I
Well-
mean, it's not an upbeat movie. That's the whole thing with this era of filmmaking. It was when they picked a movie like this, it was going to be gritty and dark, and they weren't going to show the good side of prostitution.
No.
Although it's
the good side of prostitution.
I think they were just trying to show that Sharky had some depth.
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
here's
He
a
had
question. So here's something that never really, they sort of pay it off a little bit, but you come to find, so Hodgkins, the candidate for governor, is involved with the ring of hookers, particularly Domino.
He's in
and
love with Domino.
He's in love with Domino. He's going to buy her a house. That's her whole big dream, and we'll get back to that because that comes
Yeah.
full circle too. But they mention the fact that like they're buying and selling girls like on the sex trade when they're little. And so you think that that's going to come into play with Nosh's kid because they make such a point out of her. Like she comes downstairs,
Yeah.
says hello, and then they're like, oh yeah, they're buying these girls when they're very little. And you're like, oh no, maybe he gets to Nosh's daughter. No, that never happens. But they do come back to it a little bit because they say that Victor picked Domino up when she was like 12 or something.
Yeah.
And quote unquote trained her over and over again, which is super creepy and terrifying.
Yeah,
And,
they raped her and drugged her.
yeah.
And
that's the whole process to turn them into prostitutes. But but I don't know. I thought that was going to have more to do with the other teammates with the little girl of Nosh's, but it didn't.
Yeah, I can see where that makes perfect
was a little
sense.
misleading.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the prostitution side of it, because it's really a human trafficking movie. It's really that's what it boils down to. Yes, he's a pimp and he's pimping girls out, but worse than that is he's kidnapping little girls and buying kids from God knows who
And rearing them into prostitutes,
turning them,
essentially.
yeah, exactly. And then God knows what happens to them once they get to too old and they
Right.
can't earn $1,000 a night.
Well, you've heard of puppy mills. It's like a hooker mill.
Yeah.
What?
Is that funny?
I don't know that I would have ever heard the term hooker mill.
Well, I just coined it. You can have it.
I'm going to use it every day.
Oh, band name.
I'm going to do a crochet.
The hooker mill.
We are Hooker Mill.
Rock on.
Rock all night. Has a
So
whole new meaning.
we do need to
Take a break.
Well, not just yet. We got a little bit left.
Okay.
But we should bring up Domino, who
With an
is-
E.
With an
Domino.
E. With an E. Even though she has a domino taped to her door. which
And
is
that doesn't
not
have it.
spelled
I wrote that
with an
down.
E,
I was
yeah.
like, she's got a domino on her door
Well,
with
you-
no
you-
E.
Well,
Yeah.
you know why it had an E.
No.
It did have 7 letters in it for the phone number.
Oh.
They threw that E on at the end.
That's
yeah.
Look at this man.
I'll be damned. Yeah.
He's a genius.
Every now and then I come through.
So Mr. Brown has
Yes.
spent a lot of time in the covert world, breaking codes and tapping-
Actually spying on girls from a distance.
Yeah.
with
I was about to say
binoculars.
tapping phone lines, but apparently you were
Oh, I
tapping
wish I was a
something
loofah.
else.
Loofah. What's a loofah?
Well, actually, we should probably let's go ahead and take a break.
On that bombshell.
Now's a good
Let's-
time.
Yeah. So we will be back in about 1 second. And we're back.
Yeah.
Hi.
And take it away.
No, I was just going to say, I had to walk away for a short time during the movie, and I did see Burt in bed with a woman. Was it
It
a
was
girl?
Domino.
But this was before he even met Domino. Wasn't he in bed with a girlfriend or something earlier?
He didn't have a girlfriend.
Mm-mm.
All right.
There was no
Maybe
girl.
it was Domino then. Okay.
Maybe you were doing too much synthetic heroin.
I could have been some
Or
PCP.
PCP. Yeah.
I believe I can fly.
PCP was a big deal in late 70s, early 80s movies because if you took PCP in a movie like this, you were literally unstoppable.
Yes.
PCP is a hell of a drug, Peter. But yeah, and that's what made me think he must not have been on cocaine, even though is it like a rosary that he's got his cocaine or PCP in, Billy?
I think, yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
Because Billy, for those of you who don't know, Billy does a line right before he assassinates his victims. And
He does 4 lines.
I was trying not to completely sell him out, but so Billy gets blitzed on drugs before he kills his targets. And you come to sort of find later it's because he doesn't like who he is anymore.
Yeah.
Like he's the little brother who's underappreciated and he's just the assassin. Like,
Yeah.
Victor gets to enjoy all the success of their world.
Well-
and Billy's the one murdering everyone.
Elephant in the room sort of thing, which is that Billy looks very Asian.
He looks like a California raisin. His face is so flat and like sort of wavy.
Oh my God.
Nobody else can see this. God.
I'm going to call him right now.
Do it.
Henry Silva. He's still alive.
Henry Silva's still
93.
alive. Yeah.
He is
He's
still
93 years
alive.
old.
Runs 5 miles a day.
It's not an insult. I think
Really?
the California raisins
Well-
are very talented.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Go ahead and spin. Spin.
Yeah,
Spin
yeah,
that.
Yeah, keep
I'm
it going.
enjoying it.
We're
Okay.
sorry,
Whatever.
Henry. I loved your performance.
Oh yeah,
great.
he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Brown noser.
Anyway, Henry Silva, who plays the assassin Bobby, is
Billy.
Billy is he's referred to as the brother of Victor.
Right.
Now Victor is very Italian.
Yes.
Like couldn't be
Just
more
skips
Italian.
into French all the time.
Well,
Oh, no,
that's
Victor
because
does.
Victor does because it's the language of love. You know.
Oh,
Yeah,
hookers
he's-
and love are the same thing? Okay, good to know.
Well, he always pretends that he's in love with Domino. It's an illusion, and that's his whole thing. Is that like Domino's the best because she creates the illusion that she loves you.
Yeah,
And
because
so,
she
like,
does. She gives
yeah.
the girlfriend experience.
Yeah, and it's like he refers to it as like art. You know, like our last time together. Let's make
and
it.
she
you
does
know,
say
yeah.
she's going to make it the best time. since
Ever.
it's the
But
last
then she
time.
had to pop some medicine
Yeah.
to help get through the
Here we go.
moment.
Here's some
Yeah.
extra material for Victor and like his whole deal.
Well, yeah, that
There was more of a story
there
to
were-
him in the novel.
yeah. Well, but the thing is, okay, so Victor and Billy
Billy.
are not. They don't look like brothers. And it's never addressed, but it's obvious that Victor has he is the older
The brains
son.
of the operation.
He's very much the dominant person in the relationship.
Not
and
the domino.
He uses Billy as a henchman.
Right.
And I always wondered if they shared a father but not a mother, and they were actually half brothers. You know, were they in Indochina? Was he one day looking for? You know, who knows why, but was he in Indochina
searching
his
for
family?
synthetic heroin.
Mhm.
You know, and so I think that would, if they explain that a little bit more, it would fill in the gap of why is it that Victor is very much in command and enjoys all the fruits of the business.
He's a pure blood,
Yeah,
not a half blood
Yeah.
prince.
and I think
Yeah.
that Billy his entire life.
I like that.
Sorry, I don't know where it
He's
came
scoring
from.
major points over here.
Ooh.
Yeah, that just means I won't smack him later.
Oh, okay.
Well,
that's
that's good.
all that means.
But no, but I think that would have informed the movie a bit more. And the book might have.
I think you're digging a little too deep for this particular film because you guys, I don't know. I won't speak for you, obviously, because I think you said something to the effect, Adam, of like all you could recall from this movie was Billy falling off the building.
That was the one thing that I remember from the ad, and they really showcased
Yeah.
that stunt, which
Yeah.
is pretty amazing stunt, actually.
I've never seen the movie. Oh, yeah, it's an incredible stunt, but I've never seen the movie, so there's no nostalgia involved for me, but was there for either of you? Because I don't think it's the greatest movie. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it, but I don't really think it's a terrific movie. It's too long for what it is.
It is, and the middle segment drags it down.
yeah.
Big time.
It definitely drags it down. They could have cut a lot of.
They
as
could have
mu-
cut 40 minutes of the stakeout on the hookers for sure, because that was the longest stakeout in the history of stakeouts.
Well, and it was
Except for the movie Stakeout.
yeah.
That was a full 2 hours of staking out.
Yeah, that was more exciting though.
I
This
mean-
one felt longer.
I enjoyed the whole the synchronizing lives where Domino would be doing something and Burt would be
He's like slowly
you know,
falling in
he
love
was
with
yeah, he's
her.
falling in love with her.
Well, and it's
Yeah.
cute. You first really see it where Victor, he's like, oh, does Hodgkin still think you're a dancer? And she goes, I am a dancer. And you hear Burt going, she is a dancer, like defending her even
Oh,
though
yeah.
he's not in the
Yeah.
room with her. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
the bandit's in love with the hooker. That's adorable.
But then the whole thing when they are together, you have that incredibly awkward scene where he takes her to the safe house, which is his old childhood home that he's
Right.
bought.
Yep.
Intent. All she wants is a house.
Yeah, because that's the thing with Hodgkins.
You know.
He is in love with her, and he buys a house.
Yes,
and
he
she's
bu-
like, "Did you really buy the house? Is it my house?" And he's like, "Yeah." Well, he sort of deftly maneuvers around that because he's like, "I swear it's your house." And I was like,
Yeah.
"I wonder whose name it's in, though."
Well, but the thing is, what I liked was that scene created this question of, well, is he telling the truth? And then come to find out when
He
he's
is.
in the
He
car
was in
with
love with
Victor,
her, yeah.
he really was in love with her.
Hodgkins
yeah.
loves Domino, but he's all tied up with Victor, and
Yeah.
he's just the puppet that Victor's using to gain
Which
political power.
Which does kind of make it a little weird that she flips on him because he really didn't do anything to her. I mean, yes, but
But
I'm
she
not
did
saying
not know. She did not know he was not behind all of that.
Well,
right?
and Sharky
Yeah,
doesn't give her
that's
much of a
true.
choice. He takes her. So one of the twists that takes place is that Sharky's staking out Domino's apartment that she doesn't share with another girl, but another girl's staying there.
yeah.
And
they do that.
the other girl.
That was actually very big in Atlanta in the like 60s and 70s because you had a lot of girls who were taking like clerical jobs in the city, but they lived far out. So they would just like,
It was like a timeshare almost.
it was like they had one friend and they would, oh yeah, she'll stay here during the week and then go home on the weekends and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah. So, but there's another hooker sort of coming and going. What's her name? Tiffany.
Tiffany.
So
Tiff.
Billy is sent to kill Domino.
Yes.
And so he goes up and brings a sawed-off shotgun and like literally just shoots her straight in the face through her front door.
In the fucking face.
Yeah, like literally blows her face
yeah,
off.
literally blows her face off.
Pretty brutal. And Burt Reynolds catches Wise a little too late, and so he thinks that Domino's been killed, but no, it was Tiffany.
Yeah.
And he
Which is
just-
so, but that's such a great scene though. Whenever he's in the apartment and she just comes in with groceries.
yeah, because
Yeah.
well,
You know?
but it's pretty creepy there for a second because so Burt Reynolds
he
is
stole
under
that though.
yeah from the film
From
Laura.
Laura,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it is creepy because he thinks that Domino's dead and he's kind of mourning that in his tough guy fashion, in silence. But so they're at like a baseball game.
No, wait, before you go to that, when I was watching the scene where she comes in, I just thought, how embarrassing would it have been if he was like pulling out all of her underwear?
And just smelling it.
just jacking it.
yeah.
Oh, I love the smell
Just
of your
jacking it.
panties. Oh, what are you doing back here, Domino?
Yeah,
I thought you were dead.
Well, but she's
Or actually worse, wearing her
Yeah.
panties. Just kind of dancing.
frolicking around,
Like,
I'm just
listening to
sitting here-
disco.
I'm just sitting here wearing nothing but a mustache. A mustache and a smile.
Don't need your mustache rides around here. But no, but listening to my funny Valentine frolicking around in her underwear. But yeah, so Burt Reynolds thinks that Domino's dead for a couple of days. And then all the guys disperse because they're trying to figure out what their next move is now that their pivotal witness is dead. And Burt Reynolds is like, all right, I'll see you guys later. And they're like, where are you going? And somebody else already knows, Domino's place.
Yeah.
He's going to the dead hooker's apartment who he's never met, but he's in love with. And it's like, okay. And you're
Well-
right. He is in her apartment when she just comes home with a big handful of groceries.
Yeah.
And she's like, and I guess she thinks that he's with Tiffany because she's
Tiffany,
like, Tiffany,
yeah.
where
yeah,
are you?
yeah. She plays,
She's like, what are you doing
yeah.
here?
Oh, Tiffany's got a customer here. I better be nice.
Yeah.
It's professional courtesy.
And then she sees, like, somehow passes by the blood on the wall.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't see
Well,
any of
and the
shit.
hole in the door.
Yeah.
Well,
Didn't
did
need
you-
to unlock the
Well,
door,
it was
did you?
open.
Well,
Oh, okay.
did
She
you
just walked right
did you
through,
notice?
didn't she?
Because I wondered about that.
Her groceries in front of her face.
Yeah, but the door, if you watch that scene closely, the outside of the door has been covered.
Right. Okay, I did see
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
Because when you look in the hole, you can just see what was covering it. So I thought, well, maybe she just didn't. Maybe they put up a board or something on
Right.
the outside.
Yep.
You know,
never know.
Yeah.
Suspend your disbelief.
I feel like I would notice.
Yeah, I would too.
I'd like to think so.
Do you smell brains? I smell brains.
What do brains smell like?
I don't know, but I bet you'd know if you smelt them.
I'll never know.
Oh, you'll never know the sweet
Sweat smell of
human
brains. You sound like now we've turned into a zombie movie. I need brains.
But yeah, so Burt Reynolds gets busted just hanging out in Domino's apartment, and he sort of absconds with her to his house, and she is safe there. But
safe is a flexible word.
Safer than she would be if Billy found her. How about that?
Yes.
But he's so aggravated with her, and he's in love with her, but he immediately gets violent with her because she refuses to tell him Victor's last name, and she has no faith in him. She's like, so how many men do you have? More than 100? And he's like, I got 4. And she's just
how
like,
big
okay.
is your army?
Yeah, she's like, okay, well, we're screwed. And so she has no faith in Burt Reynolds whatsoever. And he smacks her around. They sort of smack each other around for a minute. And then
not in a like endearing Hepburn and Tracy
kind of
sort
way.
of thing. No. It's a domestic.
He lays one on her. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking about this before the show, how, usually when we beat women, it takes a few days
for them to come back to us lovingly.
And
she just turned around quickly.
Yeah, and
you don't know how many days it took. Well, she sort of ends the fight by saying, "Oh, don't you just know how to hold people?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I don't have $1,000." And that was cold as fuck.
Yeah,
stone cold right there.
And I think that hurt worse than the slap domino.
But then there's a very quick insert where now she's asleep. Okay, she's asleep, and she wakes up. Because before they had the fight, she said, "Oh, there's only one bed," and he said, "Yeah, I'll sleep on the floor."
And she's like, "Oh, yes, you will."
Right, but then after,
which no woman has ever said that to Burt Reynolds, by the way.
No,
I'm just letting you know right now.
Yeah,
only me.
You said that to Burt Reynolds?
And what was his response, Mr. Brown? I need to hear this story.
I don't want to go into it. I've been trying to put it out of my mind for decades.
There's a gag order in place. He really isn't allowed to discuss it.
And
Deliverance gives him PTSD.
No, but there is a shot though where she wakes up and it's very deliberate the way it's shot. She wakes up and she looks and he is indeed sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
And
like a gentleman.
Well, and I think that's because it's like a sudden gear shift. The very next scene, they're talking to each other in a very semi-romantic, getting to know
He's
you
fixing
sort of
up his
way.
house, and she sees the tender side of him.
He whittles.
Yeah. He whittles. And
he's a woodworker.
He watches children play.
He's a doodler.
Next door.
He loves to watch children.
He loves to watch children and hookers.
See, that's the other thing. Like, it sort of implies that he really wants a family.
Yeah,
well,
and
they talk about that with Nosh because Nosh, the little girl comes down and say, "Good night, Daddy. Good night, Sharky." And he's like, Sharky, you really should have one of those. They keep you sane, And I was like, kids don't keep you sane. That is such bullshit.
That's false advertising.
No,
that's
what people propagate to women to make us have children.
No, what that is like the alcoholic who tries to get other people to drink.
Yeah.
That's what that guy was.
Misery loves company.
Oh, because see, here's another thing about the kid industry. Like, you see Hodgkins kissing that little girl on the cheek, so you don't know, like, is she related to him? Is she part of Victor's trade? Like, what? So I was giving this movie too much credit.
You got to kiss a few babies as a politician to get elected back then.
I thought you had to shake some babies and kiss some hands.
So, but finishing up the domino thing, I think that because they shift gears very quickly after the fight, and I think the idea was that little quick shot where she sees him sitting on the bed. The only interpretation I can come up with, it could easily be wrong, is that, as bad as it sounds, he didn't rape her.
And to her, that's like nice.
And
treatment.
it's like, or
even manipulate her into having sex.
Yeah.
And they have almost the exact same conversation twice, and it ends almost the same way. So the first time she sees him watching the kids at the school next door playing in the schoolyard. And she's like, "You're a strange guy, Sharky." And he goes, "Yeah, I know. That's what everybody says." And then he leans in to kiss her. and hesitates and then doesn't kiss her.
Yeah.
And then she catches him sort of carving something in the wall, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just doodling." And she's like, "Come on, what are you drawing?" And it's like this big cute moment.
Do not make fun of her voice.
No, I'm just saying she's sort of needling him, like, "Come on, were you embarrassed to let me know it was a rose? Come on." And like
Rachel Ward's voice is.
No, I'm not making fun of her at all. It's just, but she's needling him.
Yeah.
That was the point of that. I'm not making fun of her. Calm down. I didn't mean to upset you about your girlfriend.
You know, it is actually funny. Speaking of Rachel Ward, one, she wasn't supposed to be in the movie. Somebody else was supposed to be in it.
I had that.
But two, one of those weird sort of synchronicity things where the universe or the simulation winks at you. I saw this movie. I'd seen it whenever I was younger, and I didn't really remember it. And a few years ago, I saw it again. And I was like, wow, Rachel Ward, she's a really good actress. I really like her. She's, I'd like to see more of her. It's a shame. And
wouldn't most men like to see more of Rachel Ward?
And the next day, and I don't know if it was because of the show or what, but for some reason I watched Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
Yeah, yes.
And it was like, hey,
that's her.
That's her again.
Yep. No, she was brilliant.
Yeah, they were in two
weird.
movies together, Burt and Rachel Ward.
Yeah, what was the other one? It was like in the 2000s, wasn't it?
It was much later. I
Yeah.
want to say it was like 20 odd years later. Yeah. I don't know the name of it, but they've been in more than one movie together. No, but anyway, so her second conversation with him is like, "Oh yeah, you're a weird guy, Sharky." And he goes, "Yeah, I know. It's what everybody says." And then they actually kiss one another. So they're an item because he's protecting her and keeping her away from the police and, her would-be assassin. So,
and he does a very good job of protecting, except for all those people who die.
Hey, he's just one guy. He wasn't signed up to protect his whole machine, just the one chick.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, it kind of hits you at the end that like
there's no sequel.
Well, yeah, there's no sequel, but like it's called Sharky's Machine, and it's like, oh well, the machine is just his outfit. But then you realize it's Sharky's machine. If it gets broken, I'll just get another one.
Kind of, yeah.
Like, he's not all that upset. I mean,
well, they're not his guys. They're not his partners. Like
but in the movie
he develops
world,
a rapport with them.
Yeah,
with them. But I think the audience feels more for his machine than he does.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Because I liked totally Arch. I was actually upset when I saw Arch get shot at the end. I was like, no, you're supposed to disappear. You're supposed to get away.
No,
we
need to talk about what I think is the best scene in the entire movie, which is when Arch is shot, and he's laying on the ground. And he's bleeding, and Sharky goes...
You and I agreed about this before. Like, we
and
both
Sharky goes over to him, and they're talking.
And no, keep in mind, he doesn't go over and, like, press a wound or do anything urgent when your friend is shot, and you're supposed to do nothing, like feeling pulses, nothing.
No,
they're
doing
small talk.
Yeah, they're doing the cowboy and the cowboy and Indian movie thing where... Yeah. The one cowboy shot and the other one, they're just, having their last words together.
He's got some
It hurts, but it's a good kind of hurt.
Yeah, and the best line, because he keeps calling Sharky back and sort of borderline irritating.
Well, that's why I think it was the best scene, because Burt goes to leave to go get the bad guy.
Hey, Sharky.
And hey, Sharky. And, yeah. And he says something. And he goes to leave. Hey, Sharky.
What?
And it's the look on his face.
And then even after Sharky leaves, he keeps talking. And he's like, ruin a perfectly good suit.
I think
it's pretty great.
No, I think in that moment where
I think somebody's falling off this hotel, you guys. Yeah, that's what I think.
I think in that moment where Arch is shot by Billy, and it's like Arch does his Zen thing because he's very Eastern.
Yeah, because at first I thought he didn't, and you guys talked me out of that. So that it makes sense.
Well, no, it makes sense for you to think that because he says, "I tried to disappear, but I guess I didn't."
Right.
And it's so I think Arch is a superhero.
He's still
and I think Billy is a superhero.
I haven't rolled my eyes at this in a long time.
The fall didn't kill him. There's your sequel. Arch versus Billy.
He's like those guys who get messed up on PCP in Panama City. They jump out of like a 4-story window and they're walking around on broken legs. They don't even notice.
Oh, yeah.
That's a hell of a drug. But I thought it was a bit of a letdown, honestly, with the movie because they kill the big bad guy first.
Yeah.
Billy's not really the ultimate because...
it's not satisfying.
It's not because
usually...
Billy
kills the big bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I don't know, but Billy did. At first, Billy seems like the man. I thought he was the man, which is what they call Victor the entire time, because Billy's the assassin. He's the one actually doing the hurting. But then they just kill Victor. No, Billy kills him.
Billy kills Victor.
Because
That's
of
when
a
they have
spat.
he's firing. He's telling Billy, you're on your own now.
Well, it's a brotherly thing. Yeah, they're fighting, and he's like, but I love you. And he's like, so what? You'll be fine. And then he shoots his brother in the back.
Well, because his entire life, at least how I read it, is his whole life has been codependent with Victor.
Right. Yep.
And Victor is now telling him, here's $20,000. I'll call you when I need you.
Maybe this is why he started killing all those sorority girls in that house on campus, because his brother drove him crazy.
Yeah.
They're both called Billy.
That's
It's
true.
the same guy. See,
Well,
this is
Arch-
just a prequel
Arch,
to Black
he
Christmas.
was a tri-delt, right?
Yeah. He ended up in
Revenge of the
Revenge
Nerds.
of the Nerds. Yeah. So, so he
I
did
still
live.
yet to see that movie.
Oh no, we gotta see that
We've
movie.
talked about
It's
this.
the best movie ever.
Watch it just
It's your emblem movie,
It
isn't it,
is.
Mr.
I
Brown?
can
watch it
relate to every
just to get
character.
the Family Guy jokes, because there's a lot of
Okay.
them.
Okay.
But so Arch and Billy, Billy has killed everyone. All
Nosh,
the good guys.
like
Nosh, Papa.
And you learn that because we didn't mention this. Smiley, the supposedly bumbling detective from
Yeah.
Homicide, is one of the traitors.
Right.
He's the one who's been.
Was it Smiley or was it?
Who's Smiley?
That's right.
Smiley.
Yeah, JoJo got killed.
JoJo was the
JoJo was hit
partner
by the car.
Because
Yeah.
JoJo is talking to Charles Durning, and he's like, I cracked this. I figured something out. And he's like, what? What did you figure out? What is it? Tell me. And he's like,
I'll
no,
tell you
I'm-
later.
yeah, exactly. I'm going straight to the DA. And of course, Victor and his men know that
Yeah.
that's going to happen. So they have JoJo run down.
In front of the police station.
But Smiley goes full deliverance
Yeah.
on poor Burt Reynolds and cuts off 2 of his fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that-
then
that
Smiley
hurts. Or the ends of
Smiley does get gut shot
Yeah.
twice.
Ouch.
Good.
Yeah.
Because let's talk, because we haven't really talked about the actual ninjas. Because
Yes,
there are
that's
some
true. I
in
know.
this
We
movie.
haven't even mentioned
so
the fucking
you were
ninjas.
talking about how one of them's like a ninja. No, there are actual ninjas in this movie.
With nunchucks, they were very big in the.
And they
in the
first
late 70s.
appear
yeah.
because they're kind of leveling Arch's race because they're in a black club. And so Arch is the guy shaking down the other black guys, like saying, give me Victor's name, man. Like trying to be all colloquial with them. And
I
whatnot.
love that scene.
And it's a great scene. But then
I'm gonna
Arch
drop
gets,
a dime on your ass.
yeah. And he's like, oh, what did he tell you? What did my partner say to you? You'd shoot my dick off if anything went down. That's right.
That's right. That's right.
It was very Burt.
You got that right.
But so Arch gets set upon by ninjas in an Atlanta alleyway. And they're just like, whoa! And they jump out of nowhere
Very common
with
in the
nunchucks.
very, very common in the late
Now
70s.
Arch doesn't. It's the guy he's interrogating.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because
Yeah.
he was about to name
What
Victor.
did you get
You're
them
right.
mixed up?
Oh, fuck you,
Adam.
I thought they were the same guy.
I thought they went after Arch because he was
You
the
know, it's
cop.
funny because I have the same problem with Brian Keith and,
Charles
Durning.
Charles Durning, I know.
Old white
They
guy.
do.
I'm like,
they do look a lot
I
alike.
Interchangeable.
I actually halfway through watching the movie, because I always start and I look up IMDb first, and like halfway through the movie, I was like, I had to pull up IMDb again. Which one's Brian Dennehy?
Happy old Daniel.
Neither one is
Charles
Brian
Durning.
Dennehy.
No, but I thought they went after Arch because he was the cop. But you're right, they did go after the guy for naming Victor. You're right.
Yeah,
So-
and then Burt
and
kills
then
them though.
later
on the boat,
because they're in the middle of, I guess, Lake Lanier
that's what I was assuming was Lake Lanier.
or Lake Ackworth.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I'm guessing Lanier. And so the ninjas are some of the ghosts that are out in Lake Lanier because Burt kills them both. But they set upon Burt because he goes looking for Nosh at his home because Nosh gives up. He's like, this is getting too hot for me. I've got to go home. I'm out. And so he goes home to his wife and girl, but then you find out later that everyone's dead.
yeah,
because-
and presumably the only reason that Nosh was targeted was because Smiley. Because remember, Smiley stole the tapes.
Right.
That they from the stakeout, and then presumably
Well,
Smiley
Burt got
let on.
Nosh involved in the first place because he does the tapes.
Well, yeah, but I
and-
mean, like, who told Victor, hey, this guy, because
Smiley.
yeah.
He was the insider.
Yeah. And Smiley is part of the whole corruption because they keep noticing that Homicide isn't coming down on certain crimes involving Hodgkins and his candidacy and all the hookers. So, but
Arch just put 445
Oh, I know.
rounds into that dude. That's what I'm saying about him.
Magnum,
Yeah.
the most
That-
powerful handgun in the world.
Well, actually, the 44 from the bus chase in the beginning of the movie, that's the exact gun
I
Dirty
was
Harry
just
uses.
being
Yeah.
facetious, Jason.
No, I was just saying it's the exact same gun. But
I think I accidentally said 45.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
after the arch being shot scene,
California raisin. All
he
day.
doesn't look like a California.
Yes. Look how deformed his face is.
What?
Yes, he does.
Just got a lot of sun as a kid.
Deformed.
Just the shape of his face. He looks like a California raisin.
Oh my God.
I'm looking it up.
Take her shovel away.
He's just an older gentleman. That we're not all California raisins, for goodness sakes.
Not everything is about you, okay? Not everything.
The rather, I guess you could say, disappointing or not as satisfying thing is that Victor is dead.
He's yelling and shooting Arch in the face.
Okay.
That's what he looks like.
I'll give you that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to argue that.
When he's not yelling. There
Oh,
he
yeah,
is.
there. He's happy.
I'm telling you.
He just did
Anyway,
a line of PCP.
When they're what, Jason?
Victor is dead,
Yes.
and the only bad guy who's left is Billy. And Billy really is, as far as bad guys go in the movie. I mean, Billy's the guy who actually killed his friends. So
right.
okay, that's fine. It's fine for the focus of the chase to shift over to Billy.
Because that's all that's left. And Burt gets upset because he thinks that Billy's going to run downstairs and that
some
just a
traffic
street traffic cop
Yeah.
is going to get him. And he wants to be the one who takes Billy out.
And he doesn't want, and it's not just about arresting him. I mean, he wants to kill him. And in this final moment where you see Billy standing, with the sunlight, totally underexposing him,
Yeah,
or
silhouette.
overexposing him,
Just like a California raisin.
he says, do you think I'm gonna die?
Mhm.
And Burt Reynolds says, yes, I do. And he's like, you're not gonna kill me. And then he tries to kill himself, but before he can pull the trigger and kill himself, Burt Reynolds ventilates him,
Shoots him through the window.
He aerates him.
shoots him through the window, and leading to the highest
220-foot drop.
220 foot,
Dar Robinson, by the way.
the highest stunt drop in history in a commercially released movie.
Mhm.
That's right.
To this day.
but not much
the
of it is
record
used.
has not been beat.
Yeah, but
No,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
they use
not
like
much.
half
Yeah.
a second of it.
yeah, and then they shift over to the dummy, which it's a dummy.
Was there a dummy?
Yeah, they cut to a dummy.
I hope
Okay.
so.
They do. And it's, I don't know why they do, because the fall happens, and it's not even just a fall. The stuntman,
Hang on. This right here. So that blood trail is remarkably high. So I don't know Burt Reynolds' exact height, but I'd say he's about as tall as you are, Mr. Brown, like 6'2", 6'3",
No, I
somewhere
think
thereabouts.
Bert's a short fella.
Was he?
Yeah, go ahead.
He
Maybe
always
5'8".
seemed tall in the movies.
Exactly.
I'm 5'8".
Well, you're tall for a woman.
What you trying to say, Mr. Brown?
anyway,
Yeah, go ahead.
the blood stain was unusually high.
Much like we should be
Okay.
today. It's 420.
5'11". Okay.
Yeah, I told you he was a shorty.
But still, like the blood is above him. So like, was Billy just hopping up and
Billy,
down while
look
he
how
was
tall
running?
Billy is. 6'8". He's a big guy. I'm making that up. but-
Henry Silva.
What I was saying, though,
Yes, proceed, Jason.
is that the cool thing I think about this stunt is that when the stuntman, he doesn't just jump off the building, he has to go through the plate glass.
Yes.
So they have, fake, breakaway glass.
Yeah.
But just thinking, like, you're not only about to jump out a building,
I know.
but before you do it, you can't really see where
Nope.
the air cushion is. So you have to smash through the glass and kind of hope.
Danny Glover's gonna be mad.
Yeah, well, here we are. That's through the window, and then he turns around, and now it's a dummy.
I mean, it has to be.
No,
like-
it is. It's absolutely a dummy.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way it
For
was
safety
bending was
reasons.
pretty.
And here's
Yeah.
the really weird ending, because you said, Jason, that the ending could have been with Mabel, because that's just so delightfully weird. This is even weirder. A guy with 8 fingers pushing a hooker on a tire swing in a
She's
schoolyard.
a dancer.
Dancer.
She is a dancer.
She's a dancer.
But they're in
I
the
actually-
schoolyard.
Well, I actually liked that because the movie. I like it when a movie, not prematurely, but when it knows movie's over now.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Very quickly.
know,
Yeah,
And
like
it's,
all the
what
bad
do you
guys
ne-
are gone. It's over.
What do you need to know? Those two happily ever after. One shot, them on a tire swing.
That's all you need. And you
That's
know that when Burt was directing it, that's exactly what he was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And we
let's just
end-
end it here.
And we end with a Oh yeah, look at all the anchors were all local Atlanta anchors, including a guy named Forrest Sawyer, before he went on to bigger and better things.
Well, and what's funny is that, and I didn't notice it, and I even watching it the second time. So you know who was supposedly in this movie, according to IMDb, is anchor woman Monica Kaufman.
Yeah.
Very famous. She was Monica Pearson in the movie, but I didn't notice her anywhere.
I didn't either.
She was playing an anchor woman in the movie under a different name, but I didn't see her. So that I'm guessing that got cut.
Yeah, maybe.
But I was like, Monica Kaufman, cool. Like, you know, because that's big Atlanta. She's a very famous anchor woman here in Atlanta. But I was like, oh, okay. I never saw her.
And the movie literally ends with a bookend.
Straight line.
Because it began with Atlanta and it ends with Atlanta. And there you go. That's the movie. And that was one of the two movies that I think of as Atlanta movies. And the other one is considerably weirder.
We'll save that for
1979's The Visitor.
All right.
We'll watch it one of these days.
Anyway.
For sure. Well, you know, Dar Robinson met a very tragic end.
No.
You didn't read about that?
No. What happened to him?
Yeah, at age 39, he was doing a stunt on a motorcycle, and he was supposed to make a turn before he went to the cliff and kind of passed the point of no return, literally just drove straight off to his death. And he was in the process filming 3 films. One was, I think, Lethal Weapon at that time. And then there was another one, and then the third one. And all 3 movies gave him a little dedication at the very end. Yeah. I think Lethal Weapon did also.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
And back to the West End.
I mean, that's a job that, you know, I mean.
It's a tough job.
Yeah, you're
really tough.
You're hanging your ass over the ragged edge, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, they gratefully acknowledge the state of Georgia, the city of Atlanta, the Georgia State Film Commission in making this film. Where was Awesome Alpharetta in that? I didn't see a single nod to Awesome Alpharetta. All right,
I think, Jason, you could say that it was.
Oh, look, and there's the broken window.
Yep.
I
never stayed long enough to see that.
They did just as good of a job patching that western window as they did patching the sawed-off shotgun hole in the hooker's
It was the same
apartment.
guy. I'd like to see the movie about the guy.
Was it Kyle? Oh my God, he's so terrible.
Put up another thing. Oh. It's a golden age for the criminal window repair man.
Well, I guess you could say, though, ultimately that this movie was made in Georgia.
Yeah.
So that's a note to take away. But so I guess the last thing to do, gents, of course, is Hindsight is Horrifying's famous scale. Alf to Seinfeld scale.
This is tough.
Straight 5 over here. First time I ever
I'm going
saw
to go
it.
I'm going to go with a 6 because I did appreciate the performances more, but other than that, it was really about the same thing for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown.
I'm just going to say a 5. You know, when I watched it as a kid, I thought it was intriguing. I remember the guy falling out the window. In fact,
he was a kid in 1981?
Well, yeah, I was. He was a young adult.
That was his grunge phase.
He was a little baby.
He was throwing pogs and
slamming the pog.
Yeah.
But as always, I do enjoy watching a film with you and digging deep into it. And you know, I just knew that Burt directed this. So, you know, you could see his fingerprints on the direction.
And now you've seen it.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the advantage of doing the show is that it's the most active watching I've ever done in my life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Normally you just sit back and enjoy it. Now we're analyzing it, digging in, finding parallels, mapping it to Bob's Burgers and Family Guy.
You know, we're gonna have to figure
I don't know what
out
you're talking about,
on a future show. We're gonna need to figure out what we think is Burt Reynolds' best movie.
Ooh.
Oh wait, and I'm gonna set a rule.
Can't be Deliverance, right?
Okay, well, I was gonna say can't be smoking in the Bandit.
Oh, that's another great one too. Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway,
all dogs go to heaven. Anyway, I'm going to cut us out before Jason cuts me out. Anyway, this has been Hindsight is Horrifying. We appreciate you guys tuning in as always. I think you're done traveling for the foreseeable future because Diva Las Vegas over here has been in and out of the country lately, traveling. And
well, 2 weeks actually. I'm going to Barb's. Remember?
Yeah, but that's not international.
No, it is not. No,
you're not fighting kangaroos in Canada this time.
They were tough.
Say hi to Miss Barb for us. But anyway, so we are back on our regularly scheduled programming. Next week is my pick, I believe. So we'll see what happens with that. But thank you for joining us for your drive time, your listening time, your shooting up a MARTA bus time, your
Or shooting up on a MARTA bus time.
You're stalking a pair of hookers time. This has been Darth, Adam, and Jason with Sharky's Machine on Hindsight. And good night.